Okay, let's unpack this. We've been handed a truly fascinating, if chilling map of what really amounts to a financial double life,
Hmm.
running right through the heart of Turkmenistan. When you look at the sources, you see two completely separate
They
realities.
really is.
You have the official economy, poor, tightly controlled, and famously closed off to the world.
Exactly. But our source material, it maps the structural anatomy of the second reality. This is a parallel state that is rich, highly mobile, and conducts all of its most profitable business abroad.
A shadow economy.
A shadow economy running entirely in foreign currency, and it's all hidden in plain sight.
So our mission for this deep dive is to trace the financial spine of this parallel state. We need to see how these, absolutely massive amounts of shadow capital are generated inside the country,
Right.
and then critically, how they're transferred abroad using this specialized, highly protected system the sources have dubbed the Daza Bank.
And what's critical for you to understand is that this is more than just a typical corruption story. This deep dive, it reveals the structural connection between three unique sources of volatile currency.
The economy of fear, the diploma business, and the currency manipulation.
Exactly, and a huge flow of human migration. By following the money, we get a shortcut to understanding this entire self-sustaining, nearly unbreakable system.
So let's start at the beginning. The fuel. We have this enormous volume of foreign currency being generated daily.
Every single day.
But because of its illicit origins, or just because the state banking system is so restrictive, it can't be legalized domestically. It's too dangerous, too hot to handle locally.
Has to move.
So what are the three engines generating this volatile capital?
Well, these three engines are foundational. They create the liquidity that makes the entire shadow state viable. The first and arguably the most structurally integrated is the black business of fear.
Fear as an economic instrument. That's a powerful, almost abstract concept. What does that actually look like on the ground?
It means fear is produced, sold, and distributed, just like a commodity. If you're an entrepreneur or even a public servant, you pay for immunity, a kind of don't touch me fee.
Right.
If you're being investigated, you pay a massive bribe to solve the problem. The state security forces generate huge non-taxable revenue through confiscations, raids, threats.
It's systematized extortion.
It is. It sounds like law enforcement's primary function is revenue generation, not public safety.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And the single most cynical example of this is the monetization of the prison system itself. We're talking about an extensive system, 27 facilities, maybe 35,000 inmates, that operates on a clear price list.
How does that work logistically? If someone is incarcerated, how does that generate immediate, continuous foreign currency?
The sources detail that the entire system is designed for profit maximization.
Yeah.
There are, price lists for basic needs, for access to family, for better security, Yeah. even to avoid being transferred to a tougher facility.
And these fees?
Demanded in cash, and often in dollars. The entire prison ecosystem is a production workshop designed to extract payments from the inmate and their family outside. It ensures a continuous flow of easily managed, unbanked cash.
That's engine one, leveraging fear.
Right.
Engine two capitalizes on social status, which our sources are calling the diploma business.
In a society where, genuine education is secondary to status and political connection, a shadow market for credentials just flourishes.
So selling diplomas.
The wholesale sale of diplomas, degrees, specific grades, even the use of international diploma mills to legitimize the papers.
And crucially, all these payments for status, just like the payments for protection, they have to be made in foreign currency.
Correct. They remain entirely outside the official banking system. The system demands dollars for status.
Which brings us to engine three, the massive liquid cash generator, the double currency course.
This one relies on basic arbitrage.
Explain the scope of that gap for us.
It's stark. The official government-mandated exchange rate sits around, say, $1 to 5 manats. This is the rate only available for specific, officially approved transactions.
But the real market rate?
The rate on the street is substantially higher, often $1 to 7 manats, sometimes more.
So if you're a selected elite member and you get access to that official rate,
you are sitting on a guaranteed, enormous rent income. The sources indicate turnover in the hundreds of millions of dollars monthly. That margin, just the difference between 5 and 7 manats, can generate tens of millions in monthly profit.
the question is, who has the power to access the official rate and monetize it that quickly and at that scale.
It requires immense political protection. You're exchanging millions instantaneously. It makes this volatile cash even hotter.
So all this money generated by fear, by diplomas, by the dual courses, it can't be stored or declared.
No way. It's all demanding an export mechanism. They need an exit ramp designed for billions.
We've established the sources of this hot money. Now we have to get to the mechanism required to get this unbankable currency out of the country. This is where the DESA Bank comes in.
And to clarify, the DESA Bank, it's not a chartered financial institution. It's a specialized, highly organized shadow clearing system.
Like a Hawala or a Hundi network.
Think of it as analogous to a classical Hawala network, but, vastly scaled up and optimized for the unique political and financial needs of the strategic elite.
For listeners who haven't encountered it, how does a Hawala system generally function? What makes it so perfect for this kind of transfer?
A Hawala system, it's basically trust-based money transfer. It works on a ledger of debt, not physical transfer of cash.
Okay.
So person A gives money to an operator in location 1. That operator calls his partner in location 2. The partner in location 2 then pays person B.
So no physical money actually crosses borders?
None. Only a promise or a debt is logged between the two operators. It's fast, cheap, untraceable by conventional banking methods, and it relies purely on trust.
That makes perfect sense for speed and secrecy. But even a Hawala system needs volume and, well, a cover story. This is where the truly tragic human element comes in. The migrants becoming both the foundation and the mask.
It's the ultimate cynical leverage. The sources estimate that between 1.5 and 2 million people have left the country, primarily to find work.
Right.
And they are sending home small sums, typically $200 to $500 per month, just to feed their families. This is a socially legitimate flow.
But the cumulative effect of those small legitimate sums is staggering.
Absolutely. We're talking about an annual remittance flow estimated between $3 billion and $12 billion.
Wow.
That huge legitimate currency volume acts as the perfect structural mask. It's large enough to entirely dissolve or conceal the massive illicit sums from the black business and the dual course rent. The legitimate remittances are the noise that security forces can't filter through.
So the illicit capital isn't necessarily pooled with the remittances, but the sheer volume of the legal flow means the big transfers just get lost in the shuffle.
Exactly. The human migration provides the camouflage, a protective layer of social necessity that covers the capital flight. And the transaction itself confirms the level of protection required.
Walk us through the DESA Bank transaction process from a migrant's perspective.
Okay, so step 1. The migrant pays the DESA operator abroad, say in Istanbul or Dubai. And crucially, that money stays abroad. It is now outside the country, serving as the elite's external cash pool. Step 2. A partner inside the country delivers dollars to the migrant's family.
Wait, dollars, not minutes at some manipulated rate.
Dollar for dollar, without commission or currency conversion.
That's the key.
This is the key incentive that makes the system irresistible to ordinary people. They get the full value of their hard-earned money instantaneously in a stable currency.
But that model, it requires guaranteed access to a truly massive internal stash of dollars, plus specialized logistics for storage and distribution.
And more than that, to operate this dual internal-external delivery system, the organization must be guaranteed total protection, total immunity from the very highest levels.
I mean, if they were just delivering dollars inside the country without the regime's knowledge,
They'd be arrested as counterfeiters in a day, and the money would be seized.
the sources state 20 years without a single failure, loss, or criminal case, even when the state controls every phone call, every border crossing.
That longevity, that perfect operational record, it demonstrates one thing absolutely clearly. This scheme is not just a criminal enterprise that is tolerated by the government.
It's part of the government.
It is entirely embedded in the system. It serves the system's strategic interests. If it were a genuine external criminal operation, the security services would have crushed it in 6 months just to seize the assets. Its perfect, decades-long stability proves it's part of the parallel state structure itself.
Okay, so given this structural importance, the management of the DESA Bank system must be rigorously hierarchical.
Oh, absolutely. Our sources detail a 3-level architecture. It ensures stability and compartmentalization.
Let's start at the top. Who are the true beneficiaries?
That's level 1, the strategic level, the upper elite. They are the beneficiaries. They control all the strategic levers, access to the official currency rate, the security forces that maintain fear, the prisons, the migration channels, and, most importantly, the external assets.
But they never touch the cash.
Never. They don't handle cash or logistics. They just authorize the policy and reap the profits abroad.
And level 2 must be the machinery that makes the whole thing spin.
That's the operational level, the brain and hands. These are the shadowy currency intermediaries, the logistical groups, the cashiers, the deliverers. They manage the international collection and the domestic dollar delivery.
They're the ones ensuring speed and accuracy.
Exactly, and perfect accounting. They have to maintain the system's credibility with the millions of migrants who rely on it.
And level 3 remains the perfect facade, the migrants.
Yep. They create the massive flow and the social mask, but they're entirely unaware they are serving as the structural foundation for this multi-billion-dollar illicit system.
Run by the very elite they are fleeing.
It is the ultimate disguise. And once the money is collected abroad, we can trace where the parallel state's wealth actually materializes.
So where does the capital settle? What are the main destinations?
The primary hub for materializing this wealth is Turkey. It's used heavily for real estate investment, restaurants, luxury assets like yachts.
Okay.
Then the UAE functions as the primary center for secure capital storage offshore accounts, high-end property. We also see significant flows to Europe and the UK, specifically for elite property and, education for the children of the beneficiaries.
And some offshore jurisdictions too, I imagine.
Of course, places like Cyprus, Malta for discrete company registration.
The sources make a mathematical argument here that brings us all full circle. The visible existence of the so-called golden and diamond youth living this luxury lifestyle abroad, the Bentleys, the elite apartments, the yachts.
It has to be financed.
Yeah.
It must. That ostentatious lifestyle is the mathematical proof. It confirms that all the currency streams, the remittance flow, the black business proceeds, the dual course rent, they've all merged into a single massive currency pool.
Yeah.
And it's used exclusively to sustain this parallel elite state abroad.
And the Deza Bank is the fusion chamber.
Exactly.
Let's broaden the context again. Let's connect this whole financial scheme back to the political architecture. The sources use a powerful term. The state functions as a criminal corporation.
That concept is essential. It explains the Deza Bank's stability. A normal state is built on, say, ideology or a constitution. This system, however, is built around the production of fear.
Fear is the corporation's product.
It's the product, its inventory, its universal unit of calculation.
So fear is the tax that is levied automatically. If you want any degree of safety or autonomy, you pay a financial equivalent of fear.
Exactly. And that fear extraction leads to what's called the vertical of feeding. Positions of power minister, prosecutor, judge, they aren't careers, they are franchises.
Franchise.
They're purchased with massive upfront bribes, which then must be earned back through the systematic extraction of currency from the population below.
And that system ensures a constant upward flow of revenue. The officials are incentivized to extract cash, not uphold the law.
The court system becomes a judicial conveyor belt for processing fear into fines and confiscations. And the prisons are the production workshops. This vertical guarantees the system has to maintain fear to keep the money flowing up to the elite at level 1.
This sounds practically impervious to internal change.
It is, because the system is stabilized by a perfect self-sustaining cycle. Let's just trace it for a second.
Okay.
Fear drives people to migrate. Migration creates the vast currency flow, which is the Deza Bank's structural mask.
Right.
That flow feeds the Deza Bank. The Deza Bank ensures elite wealth is secured abroad. That wealth demands the absolute protection of this scheme.
Protection preserves the fear domestically,
And fear, in turn, creates new migration. It's an insidious loop.
where the survival mechanism of the people emigrating to save their families is simultaneously leveraged to ensure the wealth of their oppressors.
It's designed to prevent reform. Every essential component, the fear, the corruption, the migration, is a massive revenue generator for the elite. You can't reform these elements. They have to be destroyed for the machine to stop.
So if that machine were to fall, what is the the human cost described in the sources?
When a machine built on fear collapses, it leaves a profound void. The sources detail that years of oppression break a person's capacity for independence. People are left without the language to argue, to choose, or to doubt.
Why?
Because the machine broke their capacity for independent thought. It stole the inner voice.
Can you elaborate on that? What does that fear after fear look like in daily life?
It's the memory of oppression ingrained in the body. It manifests as this deep inability to take initiative, a preference for silence over questioning, a kind of generalized, learned helplessness.
You can see it.
You can. It lives in their nervous gestures, their pauses before speaking, their immediate retreat when authority is encountered. The problem isn't just the institutions that must be rebuilt, it's the person. Their internal operating system was fundamentally damaged by 2 decades of constant monetized fear.
Wow.
So to pull this whole thread together, what we've uncovered is the existence of 2 states.
Yeah.
The official state is poor, but the parallel state is rich and lives abroad. And they are seamlessly connected by the Deza Bank,
A financial backbone.
the financial backbone that perfectly leverages a social necessity migration as the structural mask for exporting the massive proceeds of organized fear and corruption. All of it solely to benefit the strategic elite.
The knowledge shortcut here is understanding that the system's stability is built not just on repression, but on the economic exploitation of human suffering. The money that keeps the elite wealthy is derived directly from the fear they instill and the emigration they cause.
That dynamic is the whole engine.
And that leads us to a final provocative thought, something for you to mull over that builds on the source material. The machine that creates this economy of fear is loud, it's brutal, it's visible. But the human response, the sources suggest, is a quiet whisper of self-preservation. The deepest challenge after the collapse of this fear infrastructure is not building a new government. It's recovering the person, regaining the language, the memory, and the self that the machine stole.
Yeah.
The return to culture and the quiet act of saying, I am, without fear, that is suggested as the only force that can truly dismantle the infrastructure of oppression.